Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here on another episode of Track and Field Business Uncut. And with me this evening, I have the pleasure of sitting down with the wonderful Miss Dorothy Scott, Genius. But before we get to Dorothy's story, I just want to apologize for Dwayne Extall not being here this week as promised, but the show must go on. And I want to thank Miss Dorothy for stepping forward on such short notice.
You're
So
welcome.
we are going to get into it right now.
Mhm.
Dorothy,
Yes, ma'am.
Dorothy, Olympian long jumper, Dorothy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me about Dorothy as a little girl. Which parish is Dorothy from? You know, Tell me a little bit about your
Well,
early childhood.
I was born in Falmouth, Trelawney, like most Olympians from
You're a
Trelawney.
Trelawney girl.
Yes,
Wow.
I was born in Falmouth. I grew up in Marthabury, which is a mile and a half south, until I was almost 10. Then I moved to Old Harbor, and from Old Harbor Primary to Old Harbor Junior Secondary, and that's where my track career started.
Oh,
A Trelawney girl.
so you actually started out at Old Harbor High School.
Hold up, it was junior secondary
Oh,
then.
junior second. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm
okay.
aging myself.
Okay, what was your inspiration? What inspired you to take up sports, specifically track and field?
As a child, I loved to play. I loved to play. So, track was just an extension of my playful self because my mother reminded me when I was in college that she would leave chores for me to do, and I would play, and then I would run out to the gate and look to see when she's coming, and then run back in to finish before because it was a long street, so I
Sounds
could
familiar.
finish. Oh yeah, finish. But I didn't know she saw me. When I was in college, we were lying in bed talking, and she was telling me how proud she was of me. The adult I have become, and then she mentioned that. But I started because we had sports day, and like I said, I love to play. My best friend was going to run, so I wanted to run too. So I ran at sports day. Didn't do too well because I remember I was in one of the outside lane, and somehow I ended up in the inside lane. That's for the 200. So the next year, we got a lovely physical education teacher that I'm still in touch with, and she's like my second mother. She was Doris Roden, then she's now Doris Roden Wigan that lives in Craw, Craw, Crawford Town or something like St. Elizabeth. And I spend time with her whenever I go home. So she became our PE teacher the second year of the school. And she was also Jamaican representative in volleyball and netball. So she introduced us to different sports, dancing, volleyball, netball, track and field. So at sports day, I ran. I stayed in my lane. I won the high jump, I think the long jump, the 100 meters, the 200 meters, and I got champion girl. And I repeated that the following year. And I also played netball for the team. She introduced us to netball. I played goal shoot, and we won the 19. This was 1972. Now we won the All Ireland Junior Secondary Championship, beating the mighty Haile Selassie and Vauxhall. And then I moved on to Vere Technical High School.
Tell me about your transition from Trelawney to St. Catherine to
Catherine
Clarendon. Tell me about
Clarendon.
that transition.
Well, there was a man in Olin named Karl March. He was like the godfather of track and field. And he got me a scholarship to Vere, and I went there. We didn't have a coach at the time. We had PE teacher, but not any coaches. So Old Harbor Secondary had now had a track team, and the coach was my eighth grade form teacher and math teacher. So he became the coach for Old Harbor Junior Secondary. So Another teammate mine, Elaine Ramsey, we both went to Old Harbor Secondary. We would leave there every evening to Old Harbor to train with Mr. Waite. Then I went on to Carifta. Not Carifta. Yes, I went on to Carifta.
Before we get to Carifta, let us talk about your experience at Girls Champs. Tell me a little bit about Girls Champs.
Well, the first year I finished third in the 100 and 200 behind Regina Montague from Titchfield and Maureen Robinson from Excelsior. They were the top high school girls then. Then the next year, I won the 100 meters, the long jump, second in the 200, and I got class 2 champion. So from there, I went on to the Carifta Games, the second Carifta Games in Trinidad. I ran the under 17 200 meters, and I won that to my surprise. The following year, 75, that was at Champs again. I won the 100. For the first year at Champs, I finished third in the 200. The next year was my second year class 2. I won the 100, the 200. No, I won the 100, second in the 200 behind my teammate Maureen Godshaw, won the long jump, and of course the 4x1. Now, this time for Carter, I should have still run on the 17, and they put me in on the 20.
Why is that?
I guess because of the time I was running, but they didn't tell me. I was messing around at practice, and my coach said, "You can see they're running, mess around them if you're running under 20. I almost cried. I told you I almost cried. But anyhow, I went to Carifta. It was held in Jamaica. I won on the 20 200. I mean 100 meters, but I keep saying 200. I won on the 20 200, even though I was still supposed to run on the 17. And the long jump plus the relay.
You are known as, when I look at your profile, you're known as a long jumper. At what point did you switch from the track events to the field events?
I was always a sprinter. I was always at junior secondary. I did the sprint plus the high jump and the long jump. When I went to Vere, and I guess it was a little more difficult to get over the bar, I switched to long jump, and I did very well. So I stuck with the long jump. But when I made it to the Olympic, of course, 3 people were faster than me. I finished 4th at the 1980 Olympic trials in the 100. So of course, the top 3 gonna run the 100. So since I did the long jump, Foggy Barrow suggested to them, she's going to be there. Why not put her in the long jump? So I end up doing I never liked the long jump. My college coach told me that I treated the long jump like a stepchild.
But you did well. You did well in the long jump at the Olympics.
I did well. I think I'm the first female Jamaican to make it to the final. This was 84. My thing was sprinting. My thing, and of course, I ended up running the 400 also.
Man, I tell you, Jamaica, we are really a country of sprinters. There is no athlete that I can think of that is from Jamaica that have not done some amount of sprinting.
Because we were scared. It's hard. I think the 400 meters is the hardest event to run.
Why? Tell me why. Because your friend Ruth, she ran the 400 meters and she made it to 3 Olympic teams.
Yes,
so tell me.
When you run the 400, every bone in your body hurt when you're
Wow. Wow.
And I remember when Foggy Bowers was coaching, he said, if you run a minute, you're going to hurt. So you might as well just go out there and run. I don't know what it is with the 400, and I loved it. I loved I ran the 400 leg on my college sprint medley. I ran the anchor leg on the 4x4. I love to run it, but it hurts. So when you're young and scared, you go for the shorter events, you know?
I've heard a lot of athletes talk about the 400-meter and the training is hard. But
Mhm,
before we get to college,
mhm.
what was your strategy like in the 70s, balancing sports and academics?
Well, you have to do your schoolwork
Hmm.
because I had some teachers at Vere. They would curse you out in a good way, in a good way. And I don't think I really lived up to my potential in high school. Is when I got to college and I finally settled down. I was more mature. I settled down and do what I have to do. But when you're doing sports, you have to make the decision that you're not going to do sports for your life. There's always going to be a time when you have to stop. So what you're going to do after that? You're going to be a bum. So you have to decide on your own. Nobody has to tell you that. You have to decide on your own. I'm gonna do this, and I have to balance it. Find some way. I used to travel from Old Harbor to Vere. I don't know if you know what. You have to go from Old Harbor to Maypen, from Maypen to Vere, train, and then do it for 5 days or 4 years. When I got
How
back to Old Harbor,
how were
yeah.
you able to do that though? Or were you able to do that traveling? Tell me a little bit about that in the
we,
70s.
we didn't have a choice. We had to get to school. We have to get back home. And back then, they didn't have dorms, for athletes. So the ones that live further away, like Maureen, Gottschall, and the rest of them from Manchester, they would board in Hayes, because that's where the school is located. But the Old Harbor people, and we traveled every day.
You
We got
went to
mm,
you went to a school with a rich track and field legacy, one of the richest in Jamaica at the champs level, at the
mm,
Olympic level. Vere Technical has produced more Olympians
mhm,
and world champions than any other high school in Jamaica, especially for the women. How do
mm.
you feel being a part of that legacy, the Vere legacy?
To be honest with you, I have mixed feelings about that because we actually started it. But if you ask other people, they think it started with Marlene, it started with Veronica. But we made Veer a winning team so that it's attractive to other athletes. My first year at Veer, I can't even remember what place we got because I think I finished third in the one and two. Elaine Ramsey finished third in the four, and there was one Yita that finished. I think she won the discus. And we basically didn't have a team.
And this is why I have a program like this to educate track and field fans about the pioneers.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people, as you rightfully say, when they look at Veer's winning streak, winning 21 titles for
And
Veer
15
Technical,
consecutive one.
15 consecutive
Yeah.
championship, as you rightfully say, a lot of people would credit Merlene and Veronica and
Yeah, but
Aileen Bailey,
yeah,
that
but as a
generation.
matter of fact, it started earlier because I think we won 67 or 68 with Carol Cummings, who is also a three-time Olympian. And then we didn't win again until 75 when my same coach from Old Harbor Junior Secondary, we talked him into coming to Vere. Mr. Alric Wade, he came to Vere, he single-handedly coached both team, girls and boys, every single event he coached. And we went to champs and we won.
What was the secret though? What was really the secret in his Clarendon at Veer Technical High School?
Well, when he came, we had class three, we had class four. We didn't have that. We may have had class three, we didn't have class four before. We had people in hurdles in every event. And I don't know how he did it. He was a math teacher. I don't know how he did it, but he coached every event, everybody. For every event, girls and boys. We won champs 74 and repeated 75 under the same strategy. And as a matter of fact, at character between 75, I mean 75 to 76 or somewhere about seven. Vere had more people on that character team than any other school.
And to date, Vere is the winningest girls' school, the only other school to come close to Vere Technical in terms of titles is Homo Technical with 10 titles.
Wow.
Then you have Edwin Allen on 9. So
Mm,
Vere is way ahead with 21
21.
titles.
21. And you
Awesome.
should see the track that we train on. You should see the track. We went down there some years ago, my husband and my kids, they were going there for the first time. And he said, "This is what you used to run, Pan?" I said, "Yes. This is what we were and produce so many Olympians."
A lot.
Yeah, you should see.
Awesome. I've never been there. I've never really visited that school, but hopefully one day I'll be able
Yeah.
to. But
Hmm.
that is Vere is really, I would say Vere Technical is like one of the
Hmm.
pioneer school of Jamaica's track and field history.
Yeah, and our principal, Mr. Ben Francis, may he
Yes.
rest in peace.
Yes.
I mean, that man poured his heart out in the football team. He wanted Veer to be on top of everything. And he was going to do whatever it takes for Veer to be there. That's what we were his babies. He was our
But
first
it
principal.
has changed now. As someone in
It
the
has
live chat
changed.
is saying,
Yeah,
Marlene
it has
Green is
changed.
saying they're not doing so well now. What has changed really? Well, we know that the principal and generation over time change, but any idea what has caused the fall off for so long?
To be honest with you, I think we are not getting the support of the past student. And I tell them that all the time. We are not getting the support, and we don't have the money. Things have changed. Uh, Coaches have to be paid. You have to go out there and get the best of this and if you don't have money, we can't accomplish what we did back then. We can't, and it's very sad. I mean, I watched the result from champs. I remember one year we were there, Ethlyn, Kate, and myself, another Olympian, and we said, "Ethlyn, you think we'll go below fifth?" I mean, we were happy to finish fifth,
Yeah.
and this is coming from a school that were, I mean, we used to almost double the second place points.
Look here, in
know?
the earlier days, in the 90s, Veer would have won girls champs from maybe Thursday evening or Friday.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
know,
But we don't have this. And I tell the past students all the time, I say, y'all complain, we are not doing this, we are not doing that. Well, we need money. We need money to do what we need to do in order for the school to get back to its glory days.
yes, yes. Veer
It
really need to
takes
come back.
money.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
takes money.
Yeah. Veer really need
You know?
to find their place because the thing is that Veer Technical continue to produce outstanding athlete. I have told someone that from 1980, Veer there on every Olympic team that we've had from 1980, there is a Veer Technical
Mm.
athlete on that team. And if you don't believe me, go and check. From 1980 to
Mhm.
2021, when we had Tokyo, every Olympic team there is a
Yeah.
Veer Technical
Mhm.
standout. I mean, they don't just make up the numbers, they go to the
Mhm.
Olympics and they perform. Sharika Jackson being the latest
Mhm. But I
of the
want to tell
Veer.
you, my last Olympic was 1984, and we had 8 people on that team. We had 8.
And I could list them. I could list them for
Yeah,
you.
and they would show up, and the other people would say, "How many years school have? How many years school have?" The most they may have maybe 3, maybe. We had
Maybe,
8.
maybe,
We had
maybe.
8 people. I don't know the years after me, but 1984, we had 8 people on that team.
And if you look at the 100 meters, if you look at the 100-meter, there is a Veer technical
In
athlete
the
in the
final.
women's 100
Mhm.
meters from 1980
Yes, in the finals. Mhm.
in the final, whether they medal or not, they
Yeah.
are in the final. And if you check it, most of the time the medal goes to the
Mm,
Vere Technical athlete. So
yeah,
Vere Technical has a rich, and we're not making this up because the data is there
exactly,
to
exactly.
show. But I'd
Mm.
love to see Vere get back competitively in track and
Me
field
too.
at the junior level. I would
Yeah.
really love to see
Mm.
that. But
Mm.
let us dive into college. A lot of young people nowadays going pro, some going to university. How did you make that decision to go to Texas instead of going pro before going
We
to
didn't have
university?
pros back then.
Oh, you didn't?
We didn't.
Tell me about that.
We were strictly amateur, no pro. I stopped running in 87, and I am not quite sure if because I stopped running because of my job. I was gonna go to try and make it to the 88 Olympic team, but then I had my job. I couldn't give up my job. So we were strictly amateur. We wanted to just run for our country, which we enjoy. We want to go to college to get an education to help our family. And that's what we did. There was no other option, no
So
pro.
so were you guys able to earn a living from running for the country?
No, we didn't. We
So
couldn't get.
you were just running for fun.
We got, I think our per diem was $10 per day. That's it. And that's when you go on the team. You don't get it until you go on the team. So you get it for the first day you're in the village or wherever the meet is until the last day. $10 per day. And that's it.
Studying, studying, and running for the country. Mental health has become a big part of today's discussion in
Mhm.
sport. What was your strategy to focus on school and focus on training for the country and doing your best? How
Well,
were you able to stay
that,
grounded mentally?
that we didn't even think about mental. We didn't even think about that. We just know we're running. We wanted to run. We love running. We are going to school. If you don't make the grade, your scholarship will be taken away from you. And you don't want to come back to your family and tell them, I lost my scholarship because I didn't study. We would have to study on the bus going to the track meet. Sometimes, even at the track meet, with all the noise and everything that's going on, especially if you have a test coming Monday, and most of the time we're on the road. We're on the road, but but you know what? That made us so much stronger. It made us so much stronger because there was no other way. Just study, go to school, it would be practice, study, practice. That was it.
How did training and competing at champs in Jamaica helped you when you were in university?
How did that help me? Well, I always have this winning spirit about me. Even if I'm losing, I know I'm going to give it my best. And when you're used to winning, you want to continue that way. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that all the time. But you develop that from champs. You know,
How
you,
different how different was the culture? The Jamaican culture.
oh, that was a culture shock. I went to Texas. I went to Texas Women's University. We had at the time Ruth, Lilith, and Audrey were there. And it was like a relay. One would start with me doing registration and getting me familiarized with the place. It was like from one to the other to the other. So I was lucky that I had three people there that were older than me. Most people go there at 18 and everybody around them is the same age. I had three adults around me, so that made it much easier. And I had a wonderful coach, Dr. Bert Lyle. I have a wonderful coach. We were the daughters he didn't have because he had Audrey in the 70s. Then he had Ruth and Lilith Hodges, 78, and I joined them 79. His relay team was Ruth, Lilith, one American, and myself. That's the 4x1.
Wow.
Yeah, the medley was the same four. And the 4x4 was Ruth, and myself and two Americans. You
So
know, so
you guys were like a little family.
exactly, exactly.
Wow.
That's all we had. You know, and looking back now, I say, you know what? I didn't get so much involved in on campus activities because I lived on campus for 1 year. They did for 2, and we got our apartment, and that's where we spent our time between the library, practice, and classes. And you would always see the three of us together. Lily is the short one, Ruth is the tall one, and Dorothy is the wide one.
And,
So
and we're talking about Lilith Hodges, formerly of St. Mary High School.
exactly.
She won girls' champs with Jackie Pusey
No,
back to back.
She was there before Jackie.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was
she was
there
there before
before.
Jackie.
Yes.
I think 72 was her last champs, I think. She
Yeah.
was there before Jackie. But we
Wow.
just stay to ourselves.
One thing I can tell you, Jamaicans, when they meet up somewhere, it takes no time for them to just fall right in.
You should see us when we go to track meets because that's when we would see more Jamaicans. I remember they had, before we ran NC2, they had the AIAW, and it was in Austin, Texas. And we all sat together. And you see all that excitement at champs. We were in the stands behaving just like that. The camera crew, whatever channel it was, they came up there just because they have never seen anything like that. We just weren't cheering for our schools. We were cheering for, and when they made the introduction and they say from Jamaica, we went wild.
Listen, we are a different breed. We are just a different. Our
I tell my
energy,
kids, we are clammy, we are
yes.
clammy, you know?
Our our energy is
Mhm.
just different, just
Yeah,
a different kind of energy.
yeah.
But coming back home for trials, how
Hmm.
hard was it to meet the Jamaican team? To meet the Jamaican team is, I've spoken to a lot of athletes and they've told me that the Jamaican team is one of the toughest competition, the trials. How
Hmm.
how hard or easy was it for you to meet the Jamaican team?
It was hard. I was a nervous wreck. It was hard. When you make it, you jump. Oh, thank you, I made it. I made it. For 84, it wasn't that bad because now I was a season long jumper and I'd met the qualifying distance before. But even then, there's no guarantee you're going to be on the team. Even back then, there's no, because it happened to me. I beat somebody by 11 inches and she was on the team and I wasn't.
Tell me about that.
I don't understand it.
Tell
I
me,
don't know.
how did you feel? How were you able to recover from that and still compete for the country? Because I've heard this story before. I've heard people saying they made the qualifying mark and other people get to go and they did not get to go. Tell me a
You
little
know,
bit about
after
that.
a while, I think you develop a thick skin and you say, you know what? You're not going to break me. You're not going to. I came down for the 83 World Championship. And of course, I'd met the qualifying distance. I beat the second place person by 11 inches. And she was on the team and I wasn't.
So did you question the powers that be? Did you try to find out?
Well, I wrote a letter to the Gleaner questioning what's their criteria for selecting the team. And I got a letter from the then secretary of the J3 stating that she was selected because she could run the 4x1 and the 4x4. I've been running 4x1 for Jamaica from 1974, and this was 83. I've been doing that and doing it successfully. And it's so funny before because I was in the middle of summer school and I skipped summer school, went down there for the trials. One didn't go. So I remember I was at the stadium one evening and the same person, she was working on her long jump technique and I helped her because we met as freshmen. We met as freshmen and Every time we went to a track meet, we would just gather together. We went and we competed against each other for that. And she has never beaten me. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us. She lost her battle with cancer last October.
Oh
And
wow.
we would talk, and I never brought it up. And she was saying, Dorothy, that time when they put me on the team and they didn't put you, and I thought they should have put the two of us. And I said, I never held it against you.
Right, because she did not make the decision.
Right, she did not do it. She came down, and that was her first time representing Jamaica, first and last. I've been doing it from a junior. That was the first. We talk about it, and she said she felt so bad because when she went to the championship, most of the teammates didn't speak to her. I said they didn't speak to her because I said they didn't speak to you because they knew I should have, even the most, the two of us should have been on the team.
And we had that problem in 2000 at the Sydney Olympics. I don't know if you were
I
paying
remember,
attention.
oh yes, with Merlene
And Peter
Peter
Gay
Gay.
Dowdy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Peter Gay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then, of
and
course, we had a big demonstration. But,
that was embarrassing.
it was
The
embarrassing.
demonstration was
Yes,
embarrassing, but
it was embarrassing. And when I talk about it, I tell people, I said, do not hold it against Merlene. Merlene did
no,
not
she
choose
did not do
herself.
anything. She did not do
She
anything.
did nothing wrong.
You
She
know
was selected.
exactly. She did, and it's the same thing with this girl. And I told her, saying, I never held it against you. When we meet, we still hug and greeted each other. When I found out she was sick, I would keep in touch with her, and try to raise her spirit. And then when she passed away, I felt it. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to the surface, but I never held it against her because she did not do anything.
Yeah.
She was a very good long jumper. It's just unfortunate that that day she wasn't at her best. But she have never beaten me,
Yeah.
and they knew it. And
Yeah.
on top of that, they told me, okay, we'll send you to the Pan Am Games. I went back to Texas. And I don't even know about Texas, but you see, Texas, from February, you're burning up because it is so hot. And my coach, we went out there, we trained because we are getting ready for the Pan Am Games, and nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Hmm.
But we still want to compete for our country.
And that's the thing. How do you guys, when things like these happen, where do you find that motivation, that energy to continue for a country and a team that you love so much? What is the driving force?
It's the love of the sport and the love of your country. It's the love of the sport and your country. It is so wonderful to put on that black, green, and gold. It is so wonderful. So you just keep doing it. You keep doing it, and hopefully they'll come to their senses. And when I see people are talking about the same thing, I say, oh my God, you want to tell me they haven't changed?
In the 21st century, we're
Yeah.
still doing some of it because I've spoken to people who said they have made the qualifying mark and
Mhm.
they're not picked for the
Yeah.
team. And yet, people who did not make the qualifying
They're
time,
on the team.
they end up going. And I'm like,
I have one better for you. 1976, they claimed that our entry was late. I am still not convinced their entry was late. So, of course, we didn't compete at champs. That was my last year. You
Vere
know,
did not compete at the
we did not
1976.
compete 1976. They claim our entry was late.
Wow.
That's what. So because they never had character trials before you were selected based on your performance at champs, but because Vere was known to have a lot of people on the character team, they decided to have the trials. I won the 100 meters. I went to the character. They called out the team for the 100 meters, and my name wasn't among the team. They called the relay.
You're not telling. No, no, no. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Miss
It gets
Dorothy.
better. It gets better. I wasn't on the relay team. You know what they entered me in? The shot put and discuss.
But why? Why? What was
One
their
morning
reasoning?
at practice, I was playing with the shot put. I'm a big girl, I'm a strong girl, so I threw the shot put. And one of the coaches, he's no longer with us now. I'm not gonna call his name. He said, "Right, good this and that." So he measured it, and apparently it was further than the winning class one shot put through. And you know what the person that was making the announcement said? They didn't come and say, Dorothy so and so. They said, well, we select the team that we think is the best, and we did this and we did that, and that was it. I cried because I used to cry when I was a junior. When I became a senior, I argued my point, and when you argue, you become a troublemaker. Once you start standing up for yourself, you are labeled.
I
So
know.
that,
I've heard the stories.
so
Yes.
that's why, yeah, I was kept out of the Jamaican team for 2 years because I stood up. And you know why I stood up? The 81 CAC games. 81 was my best year in track and field. I PR in everything. And a quarter miler wanted to run the 4x1. They took me off as a sprinter who has run several years on the 4x1 and the second leg. And, they told me I'm not going to run the relay.
Miss Dorothy, you were a troublemaker, Miss Dorothy.
Yes, I became a troublemaker when it was just too much. So
Yeah.
I went to them and, I was upset.
You
I was
should be.
very upset. And I slammed the door when I came out. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I was labeled a troublemaker because I stood up for myself. So I was kept off the team for 2 years. For 2 years.
Even when you made the qualifying mark.
Even then. They eventually put me on the 4x1. They eventually put me back on it after I gave them a piece of, they put me on. We won, we won. But this is what we have to go through. And people do not understand. You leave Jamaica, wherever you are, and you're in the best of spirit. And when you get there, there's so many strings pulling you back and forth and back and forth. And if you are not strong, you will crumble, But when you have, you set your goal and you haven't reached there yet, you're not going to let anybody stop you.
I think they should at least. It sounds to me like back in the days, people were just acting based on how they feel or who they like.
Yeah, exactly.
There were no
Yeah, correct.
protocols being followed.
How could you beat somebody by 11 inches and you're not on the team? You're not on the Pan team, but this person is on the team. And the next year, she could make the Olympic team. She could make the Olympic team at 84. And these are some of the things that, a lot of the athletes go to. But we keep going because we love our country. We love the sport. So we keep going for the love of the sport and the love of the country. And they'll go and they'll tell, you see that girl Dorothy, she a troublemaker, But they're not telling the full story because when I was a junior and I would just cry when they do stuff like this to me, nobody knew I was a troublemaker then. But when you became an adult and you start behaving as an adult, standing up for yourself, then you become a troublemaker.
Let me tell you, I've heard a lot of stories, Miss Dorothy, and as you rightfully said, a lot of athletes are afraid to speak out because when they speak out, then they sabotage them.
But the athletes get penalized for so-called bad behavior, but the officials never get penalized.
Thank you very much.
They never get penalized for their behavior.
Speak, my dear, speak.
They never do.
Speak.
And some of them act as if they are more important than the athletes.
And without the athletes, they can go. There's no federation, nothing without the athletes. And this story that you're telling, my eyes are getting teary because I've heard it so many times.
Yeah. This girl, Sandra Farmer, she was my 84 Olympic teammate.
Is that Patrick?
Yes, Sandra Farmer Patrick. I don't know what happened at the training field for the 84 game, But when I got there, I heard her say something. Oh no, no, man, I love you, I love you. And two coaches look at her and said, nobody love you, no, we not love you. How can you say that to an athlete who is representing your country? So you know what she did? I remember I was at an indoor meet in New Jersey, and she was in there, with some of the American athletes, and she said, when I start beating you all, I'm gonna start running for the US. And I took offense to it. So I said, oh, says use, we use. She said, no, man, I'm
But
joking.
she was hurting. She was just
She was,
expressing.
she was, but so I was mentioning it to another athlete, and she said, oh, I've heard her said it. And that's exactly what she did. She got a
Mm-hmm.
silver medal for the US,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Yes, she gonna, nobody love you because we don't love you. How can you do that?
Let me tell you,
You
our
know?
athletes are going through a lot, and I've heard a lot of them story off the air. And we sometimes, as fans, criticize you guys, the athletes, when you do
Because you
not
don't know the
perform,
full
but we
story.
don't know what you guys are
You don't
going
know the
through
full
behind the
story.
scene with
Hmm.
these people. We don't know. So, what we
Yeah.
do, we judge and we criticize and we become very critical, not realizing that you guys are hurting because of decisions
Yes. Hmm.
that were made against you guys.
Yeah, I remember we were in Moscow, and one of our top athletes, uh, he apparently wasn't feeling too good the night, and somehow the doctor heard about it, and he said, "So why you never call me, man? You know if you call me, that's what I'm here for." And that same doctor, when an athlete mentioned to him that he wasn't feeling well, him said, "When you're not asleep, me I feel up, you know." That's what he said to the athlete. And days before, he was telling one of the top athletes, "You should have wake me up, man. You should have wake me up." We are,
Favoritism.
yeah, we are all representing the same country. Not all of us are going to win medal, but we deserve to be treated with respect.
Amen.
We deserve to be treated with respect.
I
And that's what,
totally agree.
and that's what the public doesn't, and they don't know, because some of the athletes, because if they talk, they label them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
these officials, they can come and they talk to their friend and they discuss the athletes, and then it goes from one to the other, and you're labeled a troublemaker, and you're not you just speaking your truth.
And you know what is so painful and hurtful? There is no voice for the athletes.
No,
You
no.
guys don't have a voice. How is it that you guys don't have a voice?
We have an association there. I don't know what is going on with it now, because we have, I don't know if you told you, we have some former, well, not former Olympians, Ruth, Lilith, Vilma, Lorna, Carr, and myself. We have formed a group where we meet monthly. And the aim of the group is to raise enough funds to help the young athletes. We may help them with lunch, breakfast, dinner, whatever. And this should be incorporated with the Olympians Association, not the Olympic Association.
That's Jam Olympians.
Yes, but nothing is being done. You know, I tell them I want about my $10 fee. I don't
I'm
see
going
it.
to be having a discussion with Davian Clark next week. He's going to come on the show and
Mhm,
explain Jam Olympian, how it work, and
mhm.
just the whole idea of the association, so that because the athletes need to have a voice. And I keep saying to people over and over that we cannot sit in our living room behind the television screen or on social media and judge you guys, because most times we do not know
They
what
don't know
we
the
don't
full
know what
story.
you guys are going through.
They
We
don't
don't
know
know
the
the
full
full
story.
story, and yet
You
we
know?
are very critical. So I
Mhm,
defend the athletes a lot. I said, look, we don't know what the story is, leave it alone. Or if you're going to have an opinion, make sure that your opinion will encourage instead of discourage.
mhm.
You know,
You know,
it it is
mm.
It is just so painful.
Yeah,
But let us just jump back to, at the end of the day, why did you choose the long jump, or the long jump choose you?
the long jump chose me
How?
because I did well in it. And I see it's another way. If I can't make it in the sprint, I have my own event because I was supposed to be reserved for both relay teams. I didn't pay them any mind. There was too much fighting back and forth. So I stuck to my long jump, and that's what I did.
See, Ozzy in the chat is saying in the 70s there was no clear selection policy. Many selections to competition were based on the whim and fancy of the so-called
Exactly.
selectors.
Exactly, Ozzy. Exactly.
Wow.
That's what it was.
Wow.
That's what it was. So what's the use having a trials?
What's the use having a
Yeah,
trials then if that's what
you
you're going
know?
to do?
Yeah, because they know who they want and who they don't want.
You had to pay your way to trials, or the federation paid for you guys to
We
come?
had to pay our way. We were only reimbursed in 84. And I was shocked. I remember when, I don't remember who was the team manager, and he asked the ticket stub. So I said, "What ticket stub?" He said, "For you to be reimbursed." I was in shock. I didn't have a ticket stub. All I know how much it cost. And you know who paid my way to the trials? My club track coach, Fred Thompson. He paid Grace and the two of us ran for Atom's Track Club. Freddie paid our way. 1980, we paid our way. And that's we paid our way. But there were athletes whose fares were paid that have never represented Jamaica. And they got a ticket to come to the
Miss
trial.
Dorothy, you know, say he's a troublemaker, Miss Dorothy.
I just have to speak the truth. Right
Yes, and
now, I just have to speak the truth.
I'm glad that
Yeah,
you're speaking it, because
yeah.
so
They got
many.
tickets to come to the trial. We who have been representing Jamaica for years, we had to pay our way. We had.
Someone on the live chat said, "Lord, I love Miss Dorothy. No fight for
I love you too. I don't even
no
know.
fight for sprint events. Just choose a different event." Wow.
Exactly. So I don't have to be in the fighting to who want to run this leg, who want to run. I stick to my long jump. I was the only
And
one
you
out
did well at it, and you created history for
there. Yeah,
Jamaica.
I was the only one out there. I didn't have anybody. Oh, check my mark for me now. See if I'm taking off right. There was nobody because I was a lone ranger. Now, when I see Jamaica is doing so well in the jumps, I am so happy. And then you
What
have
a legacy. What a legacy that we're building in the jumps with the men
yes,
and the women.
the field events and all.
Yes,
It cost
yes.
a shot put.
Last year, at the World Championship, Jamaica sent 15 athletes to the World Championship for field events alone, and
Wow.
11 of them made it to the finals. And we had 3 women in the triple jump final.
Oh, two were from
Amazing.
Vere. Two were from Vere.
Yes, 2 of them are from Vere. Yes, you are
Cricket
right.
and
2 of them are
Williams,
from
yeah,
Vere.
from Vere.
What an
Yeah,
achievement.
yeah, we didn't have anybody. We had Merlene Lewis. She's passed through. She was in the discus 84. But other than that, we had nobody. We have nobody in the field events. They have her in the shot put, our discus, I think, and I in the long jump.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
72, 76. We had two high jumpers, Audrey Reed and Andrea Bruce. Now I think we only, I mean, the most recent year, you know, Ruth, speak your truth, my roomie.
Who said that, Ruth? Hello, we have another Olympian on the live. Ruth Williams
Speak your truth, my
Simpson.
roomie. Yes,
Yes, let
baby,
me put
I
it
am.
right.
I'm trying, you know.
Wow.
Mhm.
You ladies are pioneer of the sport. You ladies
Mhm.
are pioneers of Jamaica track and field, and you deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to be celebrated.
Mhm.
You're an Olympian. You have achieved track and field to the highest level. You made the Olympic team at age 22.
Mm-hmm.
1980.
Yeah. And I want to tell you, I was prone with injury and I couldn't even compete at the 76 trials. I couldn't compete at the because I was in the stands and people, why you up here? Why you not down there? I'm hurt, you know? But I'm still grateful. I made two Olympics. Some people work day and night and never made
And
one.
then, true.
So I'm still grateful. I did the best with the talent that the Lord gave me, and I use it to the best of my ability. I use it to get an education. I used it to travel all over the world, uh, meet all these people, and have lasting relationship. Even my teammates, we are godparents to each other's kids.
I noticed that because I noticed that
Yeah,
Ruth's daughter called you
auntie.
Auntie Dorothy, and
Yeah,
I was like,
that's how
okay.
it is.
And I'm
Auntie and
like, for her
uncle.
daughter to call you auntie, it
Yeah,
means that this relationship goes way back.
uh-huh.
Tell
Earth's
me
root
about.
son. Root son is Lily Hodges' godson.
Wow. I'm not hearing you, Miss Dorothy. Okay, we have a little problem. I've lost the audio a little bit with Miss Dorothy. Let's just wait just a little bit here. Okay, Miss Dorothy, your audio is a little. All right, she's taking a 2 minutes. All right, Miss Dorothy, your audio. I think your internet is buffering a little bit. I'm not hearing you. Oh wow. This interview is just getting so nice. No, I'm not hearing you. This interview is really wow. We lost her a little bit. I think her internet is giving having some issues there, but what an interview we're having with Dorothy Scott. I mean, amazing, amazing athlete for Jamaica. She's one of the pioneers for Jamaica, the first Jamaican woman to get to a long jump final for Jamaica at the Olympics. Wonderful. Her teammate is, online with us. Mrs. Ruth Williams Simpson, another Olympian, three times Olympian, 1972, 1976, 1976 and 1980. What what an interview it is, and this is why I'm just going to talk a little bit, and hopefully Miss Dorothy will rejoin us. I tell people all the time that we need to celebrate our athletes. We need to celebrate them because they go through so much and yet they continue to push on and compete for the country. They continue to they just continue because they love the sport and they love the country called Jamaica. But we need to celebrate our athletes, and we just need to celebrate them more and show respect and just love them all. They're all ours. We just need to do that. And I'm still hoping that Miss Dorothy will rejoin us. Dorothy SCOTT-GENIAS, two-time Olympian, 1980, 1984. These are the real pioneers. These are the women and the men who have done Jamaica proud. And these are the people who set, as Shelley and Simpson on the live said, trendsetters. These ladies are the trendsetters for the women. And their story is just remarkable. I mean, very emotional, very passionate. you know um Dorothy, she has a personal best in the long jump of 6.56 meters, that she actually set back in 1983. But what a story. She made her first Olympic team 1980 at age 22. As she said earlier, she was plagued with injuries, so she wasn't able to be at the trials for the 1976 Olympics, which was held in Montreal, Canada, where, of course, Jamaica won gold in the 200 meter with Mr. Donald Quarry, legendary Donald Quarry, who won gold in the 200 meters from lane two, or was it lane one? And he also won a silver medal in the 100 meters. So Jamaica have been doing great, great things, in track and field from as far back as the 1903, when we look back at Mr. G.C. Foster, who wanted to compete at I think it was 1908 Olympics, 1908, but he wasn't able to compete because, of course, Jamaica wasn't a member of the International Olympic Committee until 1939. So we have some stalwarts out there. We have some legends. We have some trend setters out there. But I'm still hoping that Miss Dorothy can reconnect. I haven't seen her yet. I'm running out of things to say about her. But here she is. Here she is. She is back with us. Let hopes that we can continue.
Yeah, we're having some bad weather
Oh yes,
here.
I know. Well, I'm happy that you are able to reconnect. I was just telling them a little bit more about you, but let us just continue. You have a personal best of 6.56 meters in the long jump that you said. It was back in 1983, right?
81.
81. Okay.
81.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
1981.
Just tell me a little bit how you feel being a part of this rich legacy of track and field that Jamaica continue to build on almost 100 years.
It's a wonderful feeling. I tell people whenever the Olympics or the World Championship come around, I wish I was still competing because I miss the camaraderie. I miss us fussing with each other and then making up back. I miss like if we're going shopping, all of us go shopping, we all into each other's business and nobody gets upset. I miss it. But then again, I'm still in touch with my teammates. Like I was telling, we are all godparents. Grace Jackson is my son's godmother.
Wow.
Yeah. We are godparents, to each
Beautiful.
other. It's just
Beautiful.
that this time it's more distant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I saw Ruth in May because I was honored by the Old Harbor Friends Association and she came out to support me, which I appreciate. I saw Lily in December, because she was coming from LA. She passed through Atlanta. I picked her up, took her home, fed her. She showered, went back. And that's how, I miss stuff like that. I miss it.
The
But
friendships, the friendships.
yes, but we keep it going on the phone. We keep it. And not just Jamaican athletes either, athletes from other countries, you know. We have that relation. And remember, all of us were poor. We didn't have any contract or anything. So that brought us closer,
I'm
you
glad
know.
that you touch on contracts. How were you guys able to survive competing for the country year after year, knowing that you weren't able to earn from the sport?
Because we didn't know any better. We didn't know any better. We just like we wanted to run. We love track and field. We want to go out there and compete, for our country and get back. It was a wonderful when you hear your name called that you have made that team. It's a wonderful. So we didn't stop to think about money. We got our per diem $10 per day. We made do with that. But we didn't know any other thing because there was no, I mean, people were getting money under the table, but there were no contracts out there for us to say, boy, I wish I could get a contract. I obviously, think we're born too early. I think but I'm glad we were able to be pioneers for these new athletes. I'm very happy for them because I know what it takes to go there and train every day, to make the sacrifices. But so it's only fitting that you benefit in some way. So I'm very happy for them, very happy for them, you know.
Yeah.
But I must tell you before I forget, we have a mutual friend.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, Lehman.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. What a
Yeah,
small world. What a small
yeah.
world.
I spoke to him today and he said he have been trying to get me. I said, Leroy, I don't remember. He said,
Yes.
yes, man. I said, we have a mutual friend. See how
He
small the
mentioned
world is?
he mentioned your name to me last year, and I said you need to try and get her. But it is so funny that we came full circle
Uh-huh.
when I was told about Ruth through a mutual friend.
Wow.
And then you were actually on the interview, on the live when I was
Right.
doing Ruth. And then,
Mm-hmm.
so let me tell you, in this
Yeah.
life, things happen how they're supposed to happen.
Exactly, exactly. Because he said, yes, I told you several times. I said, Leroy, I don't even remember, but remember, I'm old. He said, Dorothy, I'm older than you. You know?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
trying to get you from last year.
I,
But
I,
I want you to tell me about some of your, can you give me a list of some of the people that you have made teams with, Jamaican teams to the Olympics? Let me
ah,
see how good your memory is.
okay, 1980, Ruth and Lee, my schoolmates, of course. Merlene from Vere. Uh, she was Albert Lawrence, also from Vere. He was on the silver medal winning team 84. Colin Bradford, also from Vere. I am biased now. Juliet Cuthbert, Kathy Rattray. Who else was on the team? Ellen Blake. Yeah, she was on the team. I think that was it. That was a very small team, 1980.
Grace Jackson was not on that team though. She
No,
came
her first
after.
team was 84.
Okay.
Your first team. So it's, let me see. I know it was Ruth, Lilith, Jackie, Merlene, Kathy, Juliet, and me. That's seven.
Wow.
Ellen Blake, eight. Right. It was eight of us. And the guys were Donald Quarry, of course, Colin Bradford, Michael Davis, Anthony Davis, uh, Jaman Dennis Henry,
Wow.
yeah, Alfred Daly, who else was it? Pineda, that was his first time representing Jamaica. Desmond Morris. Ah,
Your memory is good.
oh, yeah, I've been cursed several times for my memory, but then when they need it, they come, oh, Dorothy, you always remember what so and so.
Someone in
Yeah.
the comment section, Ozzy saying Bert Cameron. Was Bert Cameron on the night?
Oh, wow. Oh, Lord, I hope he's not hearing me. Can be curse me, you know?
You know, he came to my mind. I was saying Bert Cameron, but maybe he came after. I'm not sure.
No, Bert was on the 80. I cried for him when he got hurt.
Yes, 1984. Yes.
80, he got hurt 80 before the games.
Oh wow.
He got hurt when we were in Europe.
But he won the world championship 1983.
Right, and 84 we were in Europe and he got hurt.
Oh wow.
So he
Yeah.
had to, yeah, and then 84, I remember till he got hurt again, and I said, Bert. We all
Mm-hmm.
saw the race, 84.
That semi-final race.
Right. And I had the long jump final that, and I said, Bert, if you can make it, please don't let me see you. I saw him on the way to the long jump finals, and he was one of the best we had in the 400 meters and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have a gold medal to show for it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
And
yeah.
let me tell you, he was in fine shape after the 1983
Yeah,
World
going up to it.
Championship.
Yeah, 84. Because we
Yeah.
were in the cafeteria and he kept saying, I'm ready. I'm ready. But we did not realize how ready he was until we saw that semifinal. He stopped,
He stopped
as
about two or
everybody knew.
three times, about two
He
or three
stopped
times.
and he came back. The guy that finished fifth was from Barbados. That was
Yes,
our friend Elvis. And
yes.
we teased Elvis. I said, Elvis, you mean Bert stop and come back and beat? We
Miss
tease
Ruth,
Elvis.
Miss Ruth, you know you're a troublemaker. You're Miss Ruth, you're a
Good,
troublemaker. But
good trouble.
yes,
As
yes,
John Lewis said, good trouble.
yes,
You
yeah,
know. But I had some wonderful time. I love my teammates, girls and boys. I just love them.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I just love
that
them.
was really a heartbreaking race
Yes, a
for
bird.
Bert. I saw
Hmm.
that race when I became, because
Hmm.
83, I wasn't even a teenager yet. So,
Wow. Oh,
but
you're a baby.
yeah, well, but I saw
Yeah.
it later on in life when I was
Hmm.
doing my research and stuff, and I was like, wow, this is an incredible run from him because he still made the final.
Yes, he made the
He
finals.
made the
And it
final.
was so funny because there was an American, I can't even remember his name now, and he was on a program in LA, and he kept saying Antonio something another, I forget his last name. And they were asking him about, his competition. And then he said, "Oh, as a bird, I'll just let him go and destroy himself. I want to rip that guy. I want to rip
Wow,
out his lung."
that
And
was
then,
not cool.
yeah, but when Bert ran and came back and finished fourth, we were all in the stands, and he was so nervous. He was saying to his teammates, "Oh, but he stopped and he came back and did." I said, "Oh, so you're not gonna let him destroy," because we all thought, in the back of our head, we know it was impossible for him to come and run back again. But we kept hoping he would.
Yeah,
You know,
he
and
didn't come. He didn't turn up for the final.
he couldn't.
Yeah, he
I
couldn't.
was going down for the long jump, and he and his coach were going back to the village. You know, I
Do
guess
you
he didn't.
remember who was his coach at the time?
Oh God, I forgot his name. He was the coach at University of El Paso.
Okay,
So
okay.
that's where we had our training camp for '84. Yeah,
Wow,
he was a real. I think his name was Derek or something like that. I don't quite remember.
wow.
I was meeting him for the first time.
Looking
But
back at your track and field career, what would you have done differently? Would you change anything?
would I change anything? Maybe I could have trained a little harder. You know, maybe I could have done that. But I think I have, I've given it my all. I threw up, I cried, I think so. When that happened to you at practice, you have given it your all. If you leave practice and you're still standing straight and you haven't done anything, when you throw up, when you cry, your eyes dark, you can't even see, and you go back and do it again the next day because you want to win.
Yeah.
You want to win. And then at my school, they discontinued the track program my sophomore year. So I only competed for the school for 2 years, but they still honor the scholarship. They
Beautiful. That's
still
good.
they still honor the scholarship. So I continue to train with my coach. I didn't have to go to another school, which I could have, but out of loyalty, I decided to stay with him.
Yeah.
Because people, they could say, "You have 2 more years eligibility." I am not leaving Dr. Life. And they
Mm-hmm.
would get it. And my club coach said, "Dorothy, this one is." I said, "Didn't you tell them I'm not leaving Dr. Life?" He said, "Yes, but they're still asking." I am not, because you know what? He treated us like his children. And I would go to meet, and I would meet other Jamaicans that didn't have the same experience with their coaches.
Yeah.
They did not have, and I didn't want to give that up. And moreover, I didn't want to lose credits. I wanted to graduate and I did not want to lose any credits.
Yeah.
And I love my coach, so I stayed with him. You know?
Loyalty. Ozzy,
Yeah,
Ozzy Dixon in the comment section, he's saying Antonio McKay was the
that was
US
him,
was the US
Antonio
runner.
McKay.
He said Antonio
Mm.
McKay was the US runner. Track and field
Hmm.
news, the Bible of the sport, commenting on Bert, saying that
Hmm.
that semifinal is the greatest 400-meter ever run.
Now he can say that. Now he has a different kind of respect for Bert.
Yes,
But he
yes.
wasn't saying that before.
He wasn't
I,
saying that initially.
Actually, he was in the stands acting like a baby. I see him every now and then, because my daughter ran track for a while. So I would meet him up at track. Me coach a high school here in Atlanta, and he was such a baby. The girls were there trying to comfort him because that was totally unnecessary. When
Yeah.
he said, "I'll just let him go there and destroy himself." You
And no,
don't do
and
that.
no, and no, he's praising him as one of the
Exactly.
greatest 400 meters
Because
to ever run.
Bert was in a class himself.
Yes, he was. He
Mm.
was. He was.
Yeah. Like he wrote him said, Dorothy, my first year at champs at dead last, me coming up. And he's not even in the final. He's in the
Oh,
East.
oh, poor Bert. Let me tell you, I know Bert. I know Bert Cameron. I know Bert very well. And
Mhm.
Bert used to train me for 5K run. And
Oh.
Bert and his team took me
Mhm.
from running a 5K, from running it in 1 hour to running it in 30 minutes. So I know Bert.
Wow.
Yeah, I know Bert
Mhm.
personally. A matter of fact, I
Yeah.
nickname him World Champ. That's what I call him.
Wow.
Yeah, I
And
call
he
him.
deserves it.
Yeah, I
He's
call
a
him
nice
World.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
that's my
nice guy.
brother.
Yeah, I call
That's
him.
my brother.
Yeah, I call
You
him World
know?
Champ.
He's so funny when he met my kids. 'Cause he met my son when he was a baby. So we came down for the 2016 Olympic trials, and Grace had picked them up and took them to the J3 office. And apparently they did not know who he was. And I said, Dorothy, how come you picking them to know me? Me said them know you, them know the name, but them don't know you. Remember say along, mommy, you had never met my daughter. And when he saw my son was a baby, but he was serious about them not knowing
Of
who,
course,
who,
they should.
who yes,
How can you not know
you
the
know,
veteran, the
you
legend?
know. So I sent him a picture once with him and my son as a baby. And then after 2016, they took a picture and I said, no, you looking up in my son's face, you know? 'Cause my son is a 6'2", he's a big boy,
Yes,
but I had good fun with my teammates. I
I
really
see
love
that.
my teammates.
Yeah,
I love my
I can
teammates,
see that.
you know?
I'm
You
not
know.
even going to ask you if you miss the sport because I know
Mhm.
that you do. What
Mhm.
tell me one thing that you miss the most? Just one thing.
I miss competing. Sometimes I think I can still jump. And
Wow.
I'm going to be 66 in August. I don't know how we could get off the ground. I still,
Passion.
yeah, sometimes I'm lying down there and I'm visualizing myself when I used to jump, when I used to run, I still can do high knees. I
Good.
still can do that.
Keep it
But
going. Keep it
yeah,
going.
but sometimes I still think I can run. I used to chase my kids on their bicycle. And my daughter said, tell my son, Tremaine, mommy can still run because she chased me. Here
Of
she
course,
comes.
stay.
Uh,
You have to stay fit. You have
yes.
to
Yeah,
stay
but I
fit.
was I was much younger then. I wouldn't try it now.
What
Mm-mm.
is your most memorable moment competing for Jamaica? Or
That
which
is
is your
easy. When I was selected to raise the flag in the Olympic Village,
wow.
1984. I mean, it beats making the long jump final. Just to stand there and rolling the flag up, and they got okay, slower, faster, slower. That's to me was my best Olympic experience. Raising, 'cause, when you go to the village, you have to raise the flag to let them
Mhm.
know Team Jamaica is here, or whatever. That's what I remember the most, and
Wow.
that was my most memorable
Not
time.
making that final, but raising the
No,
flag.
raising the flag,
What
raising the flag,
what a moment. What
raising the flag. You know.
so we love Jamaica, I
Of
swear.
course we do. We do.
My God.
That's what people don't understand. They say, like, I remember I was on the job. I've been here for 44 years. And I remember I was on the job one day, and this guy said to me, he said, Dorothy, and he didn't know how to put it. He said, how long have you been here? And I told him. And there were two other Jamaicans there, but I suppose them have them American accent. Good for them. So he said, so why don't you talk like so and so? So one of my American colleagues, she knew that I just didn't want to lose my aunt. She stood up and said, she does not want to lose her accent. I said,
That's
thank
right.
you, Janie. I
That's
said,
right.
thank you.
That's right.
You know?
You're not into
Mhm.
any twanging. No
No,
twanging. No.
I went to Texas. If I didn't do it in Texas and I went to New York after I graduated, why would I pick it up? You know? I love my, I love when I talk, when people, oh, I love your accent. Where are you from?
And you
It me
just
sound
say
like,
Jamaica.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
for
know,
real. Yeah.
you should see my car.
Oh Lord
You
have
should
mercy.
see my car.
Ruth is saying that TOC is watching you and is proud of you. I
Oh,
don't know who that is,
that's
but
our coach. He called himself the old coach. So that's
okay.
TOC. He
Well,
passed away. How long Dr. Lai passed away? I remember he passed away May 11th.
oh wow. Rest
Yeah,
in peace, sir. Thank
yeah,
you for your service. Thank you very
yeah.
much.
TOC. Yeah, we love TOC. We
Wow.
love them.
It
We
was
used
so
to,
easy. It was
mm,
so easy for you to name your most memorable moment.
yeah, that
That's
was it.
that's good.
Raising my country's flag.
Let
That
us
was it.
let us jump into retirement. Let us talk about life after track and field. When did you know it was time to hang up those spikes? How hard was it for you?
It was hard because I wasn't ready. I I retired in 1987. I was working with American Express. Well, that's the only place I worked when I left college. And at one, I was in the foreign exchange section. And when we do those foreign exchange deal with the time difference all over the world, everything has to be done on that day. And just as though we have a system problem here, we used to have a system problem that we would have to stay there until everything was done. Sometime I would be going home 4 o'clock in the morning. So my boss said to me, why don't you train in the morning because we don't know what time we will leave in. And I'm telling you, I went to track practice for the first week and I couldn't get anything accomplished. My legs were so heavy from working late the night. And I said to my coach, Freddie, I said, Freddie, you know what? We are wasting both our time. So I'm just gonna call it quit. But I was planning to because back then at 30, you're finished. So I was 30, 87. I was gonna try and make it to the 88 Olympics and quit after the Olympics. So I was forced to quit. I wasn't ready. I love track. I love, like I tell you, I love to play, and track was playing too. It just that it hurts more than regular playing, but I wasn't ready. But I had no choice. I needed a job. I didn't have no contract, no nothing back then. So I had to work,
Many
you
times
know.
we procrastinate about retirement. Did you have a plan after track and field?
Oh yes, I was gonna work, I was gonna be a mother. It took me longer than I expected to be a mother. I'm a late bloomer. But you know what? I'm glad I'm a late bloomer because I don't think I would have been the mother I am now if I had them younger. I had my son at 36 going 37. I had my daughter at 40 going 40. When I tell her she just barely missed the deadline. And they are now 30 and 25. Both of them have their masters and doing very well. So I must have done something right.
You know
You know?
something? I have to tell you this. I'm almost sure your teammates had a lot of fun with you. You have a great sense of humor. I have to
Yeah.
tell you that.
Yeah, they
You
say
have,
I'm always smiling. My
yeah.
schoolmates, Dorothy, you always in the corridor up and down smiling. They don't even know when I'm upset. But when I do get upset,
You're
oh
my
my God, you better stay far from me. Yeah, but I have my mother's personality, and my son has my personality.
wonderful,
You know,
wonderful.
you know.
Are you involved in sport now, in track and field in any way? Earlier, you said that you're a part of an organization with
Yeah,
roots, and
yeah. Hmm.
so you're actually giving back to the sport.
I'm giving back. But before that, I was in with the Colgate games in New York. That was run by my college coach, so I would help out there. I helped out at my kids' soccer when they were in New York. When they came down here, I volunteered to coach at their recreation, parks and recreation. I volunteer at the middle and high school level. And for the high school, I had to feed the team. I had to feed the high school team because back home we are fed by the school. Here, and what had me doing it was one kid had gone into the coach's igloo and took out something to drink. And he got so mad at the kid and said, "Did you give me $5? Did you give me $5?" And he said, "Put back my drink." So I took it upon myself and I started making sandwiches for them. I would make ham and roast beef sandwiches and then big stuff of lemonade, whatever. And then when it got to when it got to county and region, I come up them chicken and them potato salad and everything. And I did that for about 3 years. And they would come to me at the beginning of the season, "Mrs. Genius, we're gonna get our food." I said, "Yes, man, you're gonna get it." I did it out of my own pocket because how can you have kids out there competing and don't feed them?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I became the trap mother. Every time an athlete needs something, my daughter would go, "My mom has that. My mom has that." And of course, I would go to these track meets like when I was competing. I had everything in my bag. I had pins, I had tape, whatever you needed. I have my igloo with water and food and everything. And that's what I enjoy. I love to cook. Ruth will tell him I love to cook, you know. And that's what I did. So I gave back as much as I can. And now with this newly formed, well, it's been a year old now, to give back to the young athletes there. We try to provide some of them with breakfast, some with lunch, so, I would ask the public to try and assist as much as you can because it's rough out there.
It is.
It's
It is.
rough.
It is. It is.
It's,
It
it's,
is.
it's rough. And, like most of us, they say to whom much is given, much is expected.
Yeah.
I got a lot of help from, especially the street I grew up in Old Harbor North Street, the mothers there, and I got a lot of help coming up. So I think I should, return the favor, help somebody else to come up.
Amen. Amen.
So that's what we're trying to do now. We don't have a lot of money because some people are hesitant to give, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but
Mm-hmm.
we're not giving up.
Yeah.
We're
We,
not
we
giving
have
up.
to keep we have to
You
keep
know?
going. We have to keep going.
Yeah.
Is there
We're not.
is there
Mhm.
anything that you see happening in the sport now, the sport of track and field, that you wish was happening when you were competing?
Especially on the Jamaican team, the gears they have. We had one uniform.
One
One.
uniform. But the Olympic is like a week.
One uniform. You hear me?
But each round of an event is three. So you wear the one gear.
We wash and dry.
You know, you know, an
Wash
at, you
and
know,
dry.
an athlete told me that thing, and she went to the 2004 Olympic, and
Oh,
she
that was
said,
still going on 204? Oh
"Listen,"
my
she
God.
said you could know the Jamaican village because they had to wash their
Wash
gear
and dry.
to air dry.
Yeah, we have to wash and I did the long jump, so my stuff full of sand.
Of course.
Yeah. I remember at the 84 games, there was this girl, she ran on the relay team and she didn't have a top. I had to give
Oh,
her my top to run in.
oh wow.
We did. I see them now in training. They have the Jamaican stuff training, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I love the
You
kids.
know,
Yeah. Hmm.
because we are supposed to advance. We're not supposed to be in the old. We had to wash and dry our uniform.
And share it with
Yeah,
people. But you who was in the long jump is in the sand pit. So
yeah,
you would need at least three outfits.
yeah. We have to wash and dry. Well, the long jump was heats and semis. If you make,
Heat
I
and
mean,
temperature.
heat and if you make the qualifying distance, you
Right.
advance to the final.
So you
You have
need
to
at
wash
least
and dry.
two
Yeah,
outfits.
wash and dry. Sometimes you have to put it under your pillow to dry.
Stop it, Miss Dorothy.
Wash and dry. We didn't have enough gears. We did not have enough gears.
Well,
We did not.
I'm seeing that we have a lot now because they have warm up gear,
Yes.
they have heats gear, they have
Mhm.
semi-final gear, they have final gear. I love
Mhm.
it.
Oh yes,
I
I
love it.
remember in the 204 Olympics in Greece when that 4x1 team came off with the off the shoulder
Oh,
stuff.
you mean with Tanya Lawrence, Veronica
Mm.
Campbell Brown, Aileen Bailey,
Aileen.
and Cheryl
Mhm.
Simpson?
Yes,
That
I
was
loved it. I said,
yes.
"Oh my God, they better win! They better win!"
And they
I
did.
love.
And
Mhm.
they did. Yeah,
I
yeah,
love to, even though we did not have that. I
yeah.
love to see their experiences because each generation is supposed to do better than the one before.
True, true,
Yeah, we
true.
are supposed to do better than the one before. Like I tell my kids, I only have a bachelor's. You know, I may do courses here and courses there, but I say you can go further than me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they sure did. I had a big old party here for both of them in June. My son got his master's in December. My daughter got hers in May. And I said to my son, I said, let me tell you something. I'm doing one set of cooking. So you
What
will
a
have to wait.
legacy. What a
Hmm.
legacy you're
Yes.
building. Any
I
of
said,
them
you will
did
have to wait
sport?
until
Any of
my
them did
daughter
track?
my daughter ran track for a while. My son played American football and he got
Okay.
hurt. But
Okay.
my daughter would have made a good quarter miler, but she didn't like the training.
The training, oh my,
She
I've
didn't
heard a
like
lot
the
of
training.
athletes saying that
Yeah.
the 400
They,
meter training
she
is just
didn't,
brutal.
you know. Yeah, and the coaches, it's not like back home. They had no idea what they were doing. I would be at practice every day. My husband said to me, I don't know how you do it. I was there every day, and as soon as I start doing any nonsense, I said, come in, Mary, let's go. Of course, I'll make an excuse why she had to
Mm-hmm,
leave,
mm-hmm,
but I
mm-hmm,
have to
mm-hmm.
protect my child,
Yeah. Have you
you
ever
know?
tried getting her in the Jamaican system, like for high school?
No,
No. Okay. Okay.
because that means she would have to be away from me, and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
clingy mother.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I see.
yeah.
I see. I
I,
see.
I cried. My son was 4 years old, and he turned to me and said, Mom, you have to stop now. I said, when you become a parent, you will understand. And he was just 3 hours away. She went to Duke all the way in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I cried. I cried. I love my kids close to me.
I see that. I see
Yeah,
that.
I love my kids
I'm
close to
sure,
me.
but in this new age, a lot of people are sending their children
Hmm.
to high school in Jamaica
Leroy and I were talking about this morning.
from as
Yeah.
far as Africa,
Yes, just to run. Can you
just
imagine?
to develop their track
Yeah.
and field skills.
Yeah, not
They
for
are
academics. Not for academics, for sports.
Yes, they're sending them.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, this year at Boys and Girls Champs, they had a record breaking over 100 international students competing at Boys
At
and Girls
times.
Champs. So now ISA has pulled the brakes on it and said
Yes.
they have to do something about it because people all over the world are sending their
Yeah,
children.
and they're taking away place because we used to compete in the US Nationals at their trials, and first they stopped having the boys, but they would still allow the girls to compete. And then they said we can't have, because in the long jump, there used to be three foreigners, Chanel Ferguson from the Bahamas, Jennifer Ennis from Ghana, and myself. Jennifer ended up competing for the US later. So say if they're taking whatever number they're taking to the finals, they would add three additional Americans because there were three foreigners in there, you know? So, and I mean, people got upset when they stopped allowing us to compete. And I said, you know what? This is their trials.
Mm-hmm.
Foreigners should be competing in their trials.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
saw that in Jamaica this year. And I said,
Yeah.
that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
our national trial. We allow them to run at champs, girls' champs, whatever. And I can understand they're trying to lower the time out, but this is our child.
Well, you see, that's the thing, when it is said that success breeds success, when you have a
Hmm.
country like Jamaica that is dominating track and field at the highest level in the sprints, because
Yes.
if you look at the 21st century here, we've had 5 Olympic games, and in the women's 100, we've won 4 times out of 5.
Hmm.
Two with Shelly and two with Elaine. In the 200-meter, Jamaica won 4, two with Veronica and two with Elaine. On the men's
Yeah.
side, Usain Bolt won 3 of the 100 meters and 3 of the 200
Yeah.
meters. So why wouldn't people want to send their
I,
children?
I know. But I want to tell a Jamaican born has won 7. It started with, I think it was Lenford Christie. No,
Mhm.
it was Ben Johnson,
Look at
88.
look at where you're
Lenford,
going now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Lenford Christie and Donovan Bailey. They were
Mhm.
all Jamaican born.
Yeah, Eva Ben
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah.
All
You know that's my cousin.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah, he's from Falmouth,
Yeah, he's
Trelawney.
from Trelawney,
Yeah,
right?
that's my cousin. That's
Yeah,
my father's relatives.
yeah. He
Yeah,
he won back in
80,
1988.
88, and they took
Yeah.
it from him, and he wasn't the only one that was doing the stuff they accused him of doing.
There you
He wasn't
go.
the only one,
There you go.
you
And
know.
that
But
that is a story that I keep hearing. But
yeah,
again,
he wasn't the only one.
again, it
Hmm.
goes back to favoritism.
Yes, he wasn't the only one. Because when I heard somebody said there was a American football player in the drug testing room, and I said, "Oh no, that's nonsense. Why would he? Why would they allow him in there? He's in football. This is track and field." And I watched a documentary when they said all 8 finalists were suspect, and they interviewed the guy that was in there that they said he did whatever he did, and they did you so on. So he said, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. So nobody knows. If you didn't, why didn't you just come out and say you didn't do anything with Ben? But Ben, he wasn't too careful because you were because we didn't have drug testing in our time,
Yeah.
because the only one that people that were the East Germans and the Russians.
And if
So
you look at most of the records now, who have them?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So they started the drug testing toward my final years in track. So I was never drug tested. We had the female testing. We have to go when we go to big meet. We have to go take the sex test, and they would put the big F on our dog tag, and then the guys would line up and say, "Okay,
So this
which one
was
I
to
would
what?
appeal?
So this was to determine if you're
If
male
you're
or
male or female." That's what we had.
you had to do a test.
We have to do. They have to, swab the side of your the inside to see if you're male or female. And
What?
they put the F because when you're going to compete, you have to keep your dog tag and they look at it and they have it up in their face and they say, yeah,
Wow.
we have to do a sex test. And
I'm
the
wondering.
Jamaican boys, they will line up there. We should know to feel the test. We should know to feel the
I tell you, Jamaicans are just the best. My people, we are just, I
yeah,
don't know,
there's
we just have
common
a
accent.
different, we just have a different kind of
Yeah,
energy. I
there's
swear.
something else. We should have to feel the test. We should have to feel
Let
it.
me tell
Yeah,
you,
that's what we did. We had to do a sex test.
listen, man, if I come back
Mhm.
in this life, I want to come back as an
As a
athlete.
Jamaican, or as
I
an
want to come
athlete.
back as a Jamaican and a Jamaican track and field athlete because I realized
Mhm.
the friendship and the love
Oh,
and, and
yes, we
and this
can't
is
beat that.
and this is why I tell people do not put up the athletes against each other because they are friends.
No. Hmm.
Do
Yeah,
not create um try to create any animosity or
yeah,
anything like that
I don't like
between
that.
the athletes
Yeah,
because
I don't like
when
that.
they put on that kit and go into that
Mm.
camp, they are
You're a
one
team.
family,
You're a
one
team.
one team.
You're a team.
But we have this thing where we continue to put our athletes up
Hmm.
against each other,
Yeah.
and then we create segregation. And before
Hmm.
you know it, it's like our athletes they're beefing with each other,
Yeah.
and Most times they are not.
No, we had disagreement. We had
And it's okay.
disagreement, but it didn't like we may argue this morning, and we are going shopping. And so, oh, we're going shopping. Uber. We all go. No bad feeling. We just, we just gonna. It's a family, and family has disagreement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, but
Mm-hmm.
nobody outside we know would know that. We had an argument this morning.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right, right.
I reminded one of my teammates. I said, you remember in Moscow what you tell me to do? And we laugh. We never held it against each other because we are a family, and family argue.
We
You
are
know,
one Jamaica, one
hmm
Jamaica, not
yeah.
two Jamaica, not three,
Mhm.
one Jamaica.
Mhm. So
That's what it
I
is.
don't, 'cause even in this climate of track and field and with what's going on, especially, and it's not with the boys, it's with the girls,
Mm-hmm,
and it
mm-hmm.
is sad.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, cause you go on the internet and you see all these people saying these things. You're supposed to keep that in the family.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
supposed to be
yeah.
out there.
And
You know?
our fans need to be a little bit kinder with their words and the
Mhm.
things that they say about the athletes, because the athletes, they're seeing these things, they're reading it.
Exactly.
We need to
Mhm.
be kinder in, as I
Yeah.
said before, comment to encourage, not to
Mhm.
discourage.
Yeah, and they make it too personal.
Too
They
personal.
make it too personal.
Sometimes we
You
don't
know?
even know what is going on with an athlete. Just be
Yeah.
optimistic for them.
It
But
is sad.
it is sad because some of us make up
You
stories because we want
know?
people to like our videos, and
Yeah.
sometimes it is just so distasteful, you know.
They created the internet, and we have to be careful what we put out there, because these you may see these people as ad or whatever it is, but they bleed blood.
Yes,
They have feeling,
I
you
agree with
know,
you. I
and a
agree.
person can only take so much, and you don't know how fragile some of these people are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
have to build them up. They are representing your country. Give them as much support as possible. Don't drag them down. Leave that to outsiders. And when the outsiders do it, you jump to their defense. Yeah, you can't be talking about my sister like this. You can't be talking about my brother like this. But we are doing it to our own people. You know, we are doing it to our own
I'm
people.
glad that you're saying that, because my last question to you is,
Mhm.
as a former athlete who have been on many teams for Jamaica, I want you to speak to our athletes, give them some words of encouragement, and I also want you to talk to our fans who are too critical.
Mhm.
Shoot.
Well, to the athletes, represent your country with pride. Represent your country with pride. And you have to develop a thick skin, because people are going to come at you for whatever reason. And don't let it get in your head. Do what you have to do. Ignore them as much as possible. I know sometimes it's hard, but you know what your goal is. They don't know. And some of these people are just attention seekers. They are attention seekers. So just ignore them as much as you can and move forward. Move forward. And what was the other part of the question?
The other part was talk to the fans, the
Oh
Jamaicans.
my God. Jamaicans, Jamaicans, Jamaicans. Me know no passionate, I know we all are very passionate, but you need to cool it. You need to cool it. These people are making sacrifices. When you're going to parties and you're going to this and you're going to that, they can't do it. They can't do it. They have to make sure they get their rest. They have to make sure they eat this. And all you'll do is pull them down. Please don't do it. Stop it. It's very hurtful. Just stop it. Elevate them as much as you can. Congratulate them when they do well. Encourage them when they don't, because even a machine break down at times. And the athletes are only human. They're gonna have a bad day. They're gonna have a bad day. So just cool it. It's very distasteful to read some of the comments. And sometimes, and the young athletes, I remember what they did to Christopher Taylor as a young child. Some of you are parents. Would you want somebody to drag down your child? As much as I'm pleasant and I'm smiling, is that you mess with none of my two pitney them, you're seeing a different person. So think of each of them as your child, as your relative. They are representing you and the country. You want them to be at their best so they can be good representation of who we are. So just cool it, please. I'm begging you, please. Cool it with the athletes, please. And that's one thing I say I don't criticize athletes. I don't criticize no matter what sport they're in, because you don't know what they have to go through. You don't know what they have to go through. So be kind to them. And if you can't be kind, just don't say anything. I'm sure most of your mother told you, if you can't say anything good, don't say nothing at all. So just keep your mouth shut and encourage them as much as you can. They need it. They need it. So I'm begging you all, just give them a break. They're getting ready for this world championship. Just encourage them. And the junior, I know the juniors are for me. And don't pick on the juniors. They are kids. They are kids. Don't pick on people picnic. You don't do that. You know? But that's all I can say. And I hope this reach them somewhere.
With
I
that
hope so.
said, with that said, thank you very much, Dorothy Scott Genius. You
Mm,
have been thank you very much for stopping by and chatting with me. It was
mm,
fun. And thank you
mm,
very much for sharing your story. And most of all, thank you very much for your contribution towards our rich legacy in track and field that we continue to build on.
mm,
And
mm.
guys, I want you all to join me next week when I will have another very technical standout. It wasn't a planned thing, but
Ah,
join me next week when I will speak with Olympian Ines Turner.
oh
Yes,
wow!
yes,
I can't miss that one.
yes.
I can't miss that
Next
one.
week I will have another very technical
Yeah,
standout and
my little sister
Olympian.
and Trelawney.
Yes. Trelawney again. I let me tell you,
Yes, Trelawney.
Trelawney has produced a lot of people don't realize how many of
Mm,
our outstanding athletes are from Trelawney.
from
Veronica
Trelawney.
Campbell Brown is from Trelawney.
Hmm.
Usain Bolt is from Trelawney.
Mm.
So many of you
So
guys
many of them from Trelawney.
from Trelawney. So next
I
week,
take pride in that, that my school produced most of the Jamaican Olympians and my
and
parish
your
also.
parish.
I brag
Yes,
about it. Or even though I
yes.
don't know nobody at Trelawney, because I left here too young.
Yes, so
I know
Trelawney
a
is big.
handful.
Trelawney
Hmm.
is big in Jamaica's
Hmm.
track and
Yeah.
field history. So next week,
Hmm.
I'll have Ines Turner, another standout from Vere Technical and also an Olympian. So I just want to say hi to everybody who joined us on the live. Miss Dorothy, you want to call some of the names who we have on the live? Are you still seeing
I
your
can't I can't see it because
oh,
I'm still on my phone.
you're on your phone. So I'll just quickly
Yeah.
call the name. Thank you very much,
Hmm.
Marlene Green, Kino on track, Sandy British, Laurel C Service is there.
That's my
Earlier,
cousin.
oh, that's your cousin. Big up
Yeah.
yourself, Laurel. Big up yourself. Your niece Shelly Ann Simpson is there. Big up
Yeah.
yourself, Shelly. Miss Ruth. Oh my God. Let me tell you,
Yes.
I
My
take a
roomie.
liking. I take a liking into Miss Ruth. I don't know. Sandy British can tell you. So big up,
Mm.
guys, and thank you guys very, very much. Miss Dorothy, let me tell you, you share a story tonight. I am
Mm.
proud to
Mm.
be a Jamaican, and I am proud to be a track and field fanatic. Thank you very much for
And
sharing.
thank you for being a fan. We need more like you.
Thank
And
you.
thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Thank you, guys. Good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sharon Bailey, thank you also for being with us. Thank you, guys. You
Mhm.
all have been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It was a wonderful discussion. And let me tell you, our pioneers, these people who did it without being paid, they did it without earning any money. They did it with discrimination. They did it for us without any real encouragement. And they set the path that the youngsters now can be reaping the benefits that they did not get. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And Shelly, thank you very much for sharing your mom with us, and your aunt Dorothy. Thank you very much. Sharon Bailey, big up yourself. Thank you. Kino, big up yourself. Sandy British, Laurel, everyone who were here tonight. Thank you. I enjoyed this immensely, immensely, immensely. Again, thanks to Miss Dorothy and thanks to Miss Ruth. No, I don't know, but them have to go adapt me. As of now, is Auntie Dorothy for me and Auntie Ruth for me. Guys, thank you very much and have a good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. And remember, stop trashing the athletes. Let us comment or criticize to encourage and not to discourage. Thank you all very much. Peace. Have a good night.